I'm realizing everything in this shot has some sort of gold foil. Oh God. So like there's gold foil on the teacups, there's gold foil on the honey pot, there's gold foil on the teapot. Yeah, I'm super extra.
Hello, I'm Liz, and this is LizCapism. Welcome to the Costumer Quarantine 20 Questions, prompted by Robin at So Loud on YouTube and Instagram. I cannot resist a getting to know you question tag, and seeing as I'm new around here, it felt very appropriate. A bunch of other costumers have posted their own answers, and I know more are coming up. Make sure to check out the hashtag for more. What was your first costume?
I think Queen of Hearts in high school. That was the first one where I did it and my mom helped me, as opposed to my mom doing it and me helping her. I was 16 in that photograph. I didn't do anything with my hair in that photo. So it's just how my hair was, which was straight and really unhealthy.
What is your favorite costume you've made? Or what costume are you most proud of?
It wasn't strictly a sewing project, but a couple of years ago, I went to a murder mystery party. My role in the murder mystery party was a sort of gold digger mob wife. I had huge hair, and there was all of this horrendous costume jewelry, including a gigantic fake diamond ring, so that was lovely.
What costume do you dream of making?
I would really like to recreate some of Marilyn Monroe's costumes from Some Like It Hot. It's such a funny movie. It's one of my favorite movies. She's got all of these like form-fitted costumes. A lot of them have that sort of mesh stuff so that it looks like it's just sort of hanging off her. They're just beautiful on her. I think a lot of them would be really fun to recreate. Probably pretty challenging, but I think a lot of them would be really fun to recreate. Also, Baroness Schrader from Sound of Music. I know she's the baddie in the first portion of the film, but God, her costuming is amazing. It's just all beautiful slacks and flowy gowns. She's exquisite.
What is a sewing task you love versus a sewing task you hate?
I love research. I don't know if you could call that a sewing task, but when it comes to historical costuming, I think it is. I have a theory that where most people in their body there is a metabolism, I have a tiny machine that runs on fun facts. So the ultimate thing for me would be research. I just love that. I loathe finishing seams. It's the ultimate crime, I know, in making garments that you don't finish seams, but I just hate it. I hate it. And the reason that I hate it is because I'm not good at it, and I should probably get better at it.
Would you rather sew wool or silk?
I don't have a lot of experience sewing wool. The small amount of wool that I have worked with has been rather forgiving, so I'm inclined to give it the preference regardless. The silk that I've worked with has been almost universally difficult. It's not its fault, it's how it's made, but it's extremely frustrating to use.
Would you rather go to a themed event or a pick-your-own-theme event?
My spouse and I had this idea a while back to do a surprise theme party. So one person would think it was fancy dress, another person would think it was a Halloween party. We thought that would be a really fun premise. You'd have to invite people who were game, but I also have no follow-through, so the actual answer is that I would rather go to somebody else's themed events. I like being given a prompt and then just going to town on it. Oh goodness.
Would you rather attend a big ball or an intimate dinner?
I think it just depends on who you know. As long as I have one person in a sort of home-based situation, I can basically deal with any size party, I think.
Do you prefer to machine sew or hand sew?
I genuinely thought that I preferred machine sewing until I made my stays, and I found that anything that requires finesse or precision, I would immediately go to hand sewing, and anything that requires straight lines, just sort of basics, I could do on my machine. I still machine sew, I still depend very much on my sewing machine, but I think I actually prefer hand sewing on the whole, for the finished looks, at least, of things.
Do you like wigs, hair pieces, or your own hair?
I used to wear wigs a lot in high school, not for historical costuming purposes, just because I liked them. But they give my spouse the heebie-jeebies, and we have a tiny apartment, so it's kind of hard to have a space for them. So in deference to their being creeped out by it and still being a beginner in costuming, I don't feel like it's particularly necessary right now. In fact, I am demonstrating to you a way that you can sort of cheat with sort of a Regency style haircut that is not with long hair.
Okay, so here's where things get a little wonky. I filmed the second half of the questions while putting on a little liquid rouge and lip tint in my shift and corset. I planned on only recording the questions while in my full costume, but then I thought the second half of the footage got lost, so I changed up the format and filmed the second half of the questions again, this time in full costume. Turns out the footage wasn't lost, just the questions about naming 5 small businesses. I will list them in the description and on the screen now. It turned out that I preferred the footage of the second filming, so I kept it. The microphone misbehaved a little, but otherwise I think it was the superior take. Please enjoy this time jump to a few hours later.
So, welcome to my Regency look. Yep. This has been constructed from the remnants of an enormous dressing gown that I found at a used clothing store. I would describe it as if Dumbledore was really into chinoiserie. Well, I'm kind of pleased with this. But anyways, we're gonna get back to the questions.
Name 5 YouTubers we should all check out.
Anna from Pretty Shepherd on YouTube and Instagram. She has a really elegant filming style, despite the fact that they're usually very simple shots. I love a person who embraces their natural gray hair. I think that that's tremendous. She's so lovely, full of energy and full of spirit, and an actual shepherd if you want some solid gold footage of sheep. Juul, I'll link them so that you don't have to know my horrendous pronunciations of people's names. Juul makes amazing YouTube videos because they are charmingly edited. She's very cheeky, she's got a great sense of humor, and puts together these beautiful costumes. She sets up her live streams in advance so that she has multiple shots and can really demonstrate the process and be in the chat with people. It's really cool to see. Gilbert Dolthalion is a YouTuber and a historical sewer that I really admire. He does really excellent YouTube videos that are instructive and easy to follow, but nevertheless also make a great presentation. And so even if you know the techniques, even if you've done these things before, it's lots of fun to listen to. Christine from Sosteen does the most spectacular embroidery. If you haven't started following her, I mean, obviously you probably are, but if you haven't, check her out. And also, her son is the best dressed dandy on the internet. Marlena from Threaded Thistle, who's also only just started on YouTube, but has been around on Instagram for ages. She does such great videos because they are funny, they are sweet, and her comedy is what is giving me life right now. I really appreciate her approach to sewing as sort of a combination of care and attention to detail, but also a touch of devil-may-care, which I really appreciate as someone who also does that.
Favorite color?
Pantone 2139C. I'll put a color block up here so you can see what that's like. In the prairies, we get these crazy thunderstorms during the summer months. The sky could be clear, empty blue sky, and then all of a sudden the thunder rolls into town and it blackens the sky. There are these massive cumulus clouds. The meeting of the darkening sky and these clouds combines to make this just exquisite blue color. But the closest that I've been able to come digitally is Pantone 2139C.
Pearls or sparkles?
Pearls. These aren't all going to be interesting answers. I just like them better.
What is a costume trip you've dreamt of taking?
Well, costume college, unfortunately postponed this year. But other than that, I really want to go to a historic ball in Europe. They have properly old things in Europe. They don't have properly old things in Western Canada.
Favorite cocktail?
I like an old-fashioned when going out to a cocktail bar to kind of put the bartender through their paces a little bit because it's a pretty simple drink, but really demonstrative of some fundamentals. When I'm home, I like an old-fashioned myself, or I'll make a gin and tonic. Love a gin and tonic.
Who is a costumer you'd love to meet?
I would really love to talk to Cheyney McKnight from Not Your Mama's History. I would love to talk to her about her path to historical costuming and the kind of work that she does, both in terms of the actual making of costumes, but also working to be a representative for an entire group of individuals who are so often erased from costume and from history. And so I think that she would be a really interesting person to talk to and get to know how that goes and what that's like.
Plain or patterned?
I'm a sucker for a pattern. I don't know if it's obvious by everything in this shot. Goodness, I think they cover all manner of sin. But also, plain fabric just demonstrates every flaw, and so I'm not quite brave enough to do plain fabric yet. But I'm working on it. I think I could do some good plain fabrics.
Use a pattern or make your own?
I'm much better at following patterns than I used to be, so I think I'm still pretty dependent on them. I would love to start making my own patterns, but I don't think I'm there yet. I can drape okay. This actually was made mostly by draping, so it turned out all right, but I think for the most part, I'm still a pattern girl. I think making my own patterns is something I'm going to strive for, and we'll see how it goes.
What is your favorite era to wear? Favorite to make?
I love wearing and making late 40s, early 50s clothes. I just love the exuberance of post-war excess. I love that combined with this sort of celebratory femininity comes out in the 1950s. Not that there's anything wrong with the 1940s slightly more masculine look. I love it. I think it's wonderful. There's something I think so cheery and bright about that celebration, both of peace, being able to use cloth again, being able to be girly again. I love that energy. I think it comes out in the clothes in a really cool way.
What is one thing we don't know about you?
I've been publicly on Instagram and YouTube for about 7 months total now, so most things about me are things that the internet doesn't know about me. This is a fun fact I always use for like team building meetings and stuff like that. I have had birthdays on 3 continents, most of them in North America. That's where I live. Fine. I celebrated my 19th birthday in Japan. I've got a picture, I think, that I can put up here. And then my 25th birthday, I celebrated in the UK when my partner and I were there for a year. I'll put a picture here so that you can see what that's like. I was working in a prop rental warehouse at the time, and we had these 2 giant 2 and 5, so we thought it was funny that I was turning 25, so we took a picture in front of that. I'm also wearing in one of the pictures a replica of the crown jewels, and they're what's referred to as a genuine replica, meaning that not only do they look like the crown jewels, they also weigh as much as the crown jewels. They are essentially made to imitate almost exactly the crown jewels. Very, very heavy. But yeah, anyway, so this is a picture of me at work, having my picture taken in front of a giant glittery 2.5, wearing the crown jewels, because there's nothing about me that isn't extra, I guess. Just gotta get to the African continent and South America, and then I've covered all of them. I'm not having a birthday on Antarctica, don't even. It's cold enough here. I don't need to go to Antarctica.
Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video and would like to see more, please think of subscribing.
Putting honey in my tea. I am not a milk in first or tea in first person because I don't put milk in at all. And my British coworkers in the UK thought I was crazy. I would ask for sugar in my tea and they would bring back milk and sugar because milk was so obvious that even if I didn't say milk, they would put milk in it. And I had to start asking for only sugar, no milk. And they thought they would look at me like I had 2 heads. I wonder how this sounds in the microphone.